Raymond. Give me some love, my
What's
friend.
happening, Doc?
Good to see you. So we're gonna get rolling. So how you been?
I got no complaints today. I got one complaint today. I apologize for my tardiness. I had a situation in my office with a young lady that's having some mental challenges, and again,
Ain't that something, though?
Yeah, mental health is real, and good thing is that our residents in Garfield, North Lawndale, have access to counselors at the Encompassing Center, which is located at 3011 West Harrison, where you can get counseling services, treatment, and help for mental challenges or mental episodes that people are having. So this brings light to the situation that, hey, the individuals need some assistance in that realm.
Absolutely. But what we're going to do tonight, though, it's always a pleasure to have with us our alderman and friend, none other than Alderman James Ervin of the 28th Ward. But we're going to take this time today and we're going to focus a little bit on, I think you kind of set the tone today for a few things in that we was talking about mental health. And we were just doing it at our last meeting, talking about the need for all of us to rally back together and make sure that folks in the community understand the plight and that it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to not get help.
That is true. I agree with that 100%.
So talk about that, sir.
Well, it's about trying to create avenues for people to get the assistance that they need. Sometimes it may be service in nature, sometimes it's mental in nature. And we just have to create avenues for people. There are a lot of hurt people, a lot of challenges, a lot of trauma.
Right,
and
right.
This stuff doesn't go away on its own. People need assistance. People need help to deal with those issues. And I think that between the West Side Mental Health District, some of the stuff the city of Chicago is doing, we didn't lose, fortunately for us on the West Side, we didn't lose a lot of services that happened during the past 5 years. Matter of fact, we maintained and increased services on the West Side for residents, which I'm happy to say that we've done. But we must continue to let people know that the services exist. Because to have service and not use it is like not having it at all.
Absolutely,
So we have to help people know what exists in the community, what can be utilized for their benefit. And this is one of those services that came true today that was in real need.
Right. So let's do this tonight, Alderman. We're going to focus on what can we do to continuously promote a healthy, a safe, healthy, and drug-free community, but while engaging other community residents to be more engaged in community organizing, civic engagement, to love on each other again, to really get back to our roots and be our brothers and sisters keepers. So let's use that for the night. But for those who don't know, and I don't know why you don't know, but anyway, our guest this evening is none other than Alderman James Ervin of the 28th Ward. And I need not say to most, but I will say to them who are watching, that he is a man of God, a community servant for social change, and he believes in empowering our young people, particularly empowering our young people to become future leaders. He has always been actively involved in empowering young people. He's been actively involved in community organizing, community empowerment, and we're going to talk about some of the things that you're doing, particularly in the 28th Ward. But we want to ask you first, before we get into talking to you about your professional career, we're going to ask you what motivates you or what drives you to do what you do.
Well, there are a couple of factors. Number one, I was born on the west side of Chicago, and it's interesting, the place I go into as a senior building, that Greencastle, was the place I got my first shots at the old Garfield Park Hospital.
Okay.
And so you know and understand the community challenges and other things. And so that ultimately is what motivates me. It's about trying to help those that need help the most. And we've made it a point and a focal point to focus a lot of effort and energy in the West Garfield Park community. Of all of the communities that we serve in the 28th Ward, and we serve the communities of Austin, West Garfield, East Garfield, North Lawndale, near West Side, which includes areas such as Little Italy. You still have parts of the West Loop, University Village, the Village down in Brooks, Loomis Courts down that way, even the old Maxwell Street. When we look at everything in our community and in our ward, and because I said we go from the Chicago River all the way out to Laramie. So when you drive under the post office coming out of downtown, you're in the 28th Ward. And we go as far west as Laramie. But the community that needs the most assistance and most help, in my opinion, has been the community of West Garfield Park. And I've made it a personal pledge that we must change the outcome and the trajectory of West Garfield Park. in order for the West Side as a whole to be successful. You see a lot of stuff happening in North Lawndale when they had organizations come in back in the 90s to help. You see the same thing happening in Austin, East Garfield, Humboldt Park.
Right.
But it seems like people walked away from West Garfield Park, and that's government, philanthropic efforts. A lot of people just really walked away from West Garfield Park, and what we see today is the result of that. So it's our responsibility from government, from the philanthropic community, and from the residents that we must reinvest, re-energize, and re-engage in West Garfield Park. And so you'll see a lot of activity from our office, a lot of development, a lot of resources specifically geared toward West Garfield, because I firmly believe once West Garfield Park gets back on track, the whole West Side will benefit.
Yes, and I believe you. I believe you. But in your heart of hearts, we know how committed you are with West Garfield Park and the 28th Ward, if you will. But what motivates you? You know, it's one thing I've noticed when it comes to servants, real servants. They can't say a word about themselves. You know,
Well,
they really can't.
ultimately,
It's always about the people.
Yeah,
all right?
I mean, helping is what motivates. You
Okay,
know,
okay.
I look at, your life changes. My daughter's 7 years old, so a lot of what I do and a lot I think about is, I think about her
future,
and and the people her age in mind, because we turn over to them what we leave, and whatever we leave them, good, bad, or indifferent, they're gonna have to deal with that. And so your perspective, changes a little bit in these situations when you start thinking about young people and what we can do to help them have a more successful life, because either one or two things is gonna happen. Either they're gonna be taking care of us when we get older, or we're gonna continue to take care of them until we leave here.
Yeah.
And so if we don't make the investments in them, then we can't expect any type of a return from them if we don't invest in them. So
Absolutely.
that is one of my primary motivations. When I started this work in the community, I started in the local school council, Tilton Elementary and at Weston House High School. So this is where I started, because I know that in order for us to leave something better, we've got to help develop the people to come behind us in order for them to take care of it.
It's ironic you said Tilton, because when I was a shorty, I went to Tilton.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I went to Tilton, from Tilton to Lawrence Upper Grade Center.
Okay.
From Lawrence Upper Grade Center to Weston House.
Oh, okay. Well, ironically, I started at kitty corner to Tilton at Bethel, across the street, over that way, and spent a little time. But I was a rough child. I think we got put out of there as a kid, my cousin and I both. So, but nonetheless, we turned out to be okay.
Yes.
But again, it's those growing pains in life, and because people were there for me and were able to help me, it helped me to become the person I am today.
Okay, so let's keep it moving then. So tell us, what's your plan? You alluded to it just a minute ago. And what's your plan for, or your vision, if you will, for the 28th Ward? You say it appears to have been left behind, particularly West Garfield Park.
So there's some factors. I think government has a responsibility to invest and help where others won't, but it is needed. And West Garfield is one of those areas. Now, if we look back at North Lawndale, I'll take North Lawndale for an example. A lot of groundwork was laid in North Lawndale in the 90s and in the early 2000s that are now coming to fruition. Those seeds are now fertilized and planted, and things are starting to pop up and things of that nature. So my job, as I look at it, when I look at West Garfield, is to do the same thing in West Garfield, because government hasn't stepped in. The philanthropic community has abandoned it. And it is on us, between the residents and I don't live in West Garfield now, but that's where I lived for the last 15 years, were challenges that we have to face. And so that is why I think it's important for us to have that focus there. That's why, I'm working with a lot of different agencies of the city to work on a myriad of challenges in West Garfield Park. And some of those seeds are now starting to sprout.
Absolutely.
We talked about new health development at Kildare and Madison, new grocery store, and affordable housing development at Hamlin and Madison. So there are a lot of things in the works in West Garfield, which is why I believe it's necessary for us to make those investments there, because those investments will turn around the fate of the west side of the city.
When you talked about it, my mind just went back to the days when I used to be a young lad, and I used to go skating over at the Off the Street Club. and used to be in the Drum and Bugle Corps over there, and we used to go to Cascade Bowling, and we used to go to the theater, Alex Theater, and all of those
All right.
places.
Well, that's a little. Alex is a little bit before my time.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, but those are things that
Yeah.
are part of any regular community. Someone told me, said, "Man, I got to go out to hillside to throw a bowling ball. I got to
Yeah.
go to the south side to put on some roller skates." And those are things that I think that are part of a healthy and vibrant community. And so
Absolutely.
while we don't have the skating rink yet, and I'm saying yet because it will come, we're looking at those activities so that every third Thursday of the month, we're doing skating in Garfield Park in the gym.
Absolutely.
We also had the Garfield Park right at Madison and Pulaski, the 4010, the old bank building, turned into a skating rink and some other outdoor activities because we
Absolutely.
want people to know it's okay to come to West Garfield Park. And as I look behind that location along Washington, that's where we're going to build the West Garfield Park Recreation Center with the Park District, where we're going to have that skating and that bowling or other activities that the West Side of Chicago has been asking for and that the West Side of Chicago needs. And so those are the charges that I have. And before I leave this office, those are the things that I'm going to make sure happen.
And I think it can happen. And I think you have been doing a yeoman's job in making sure that the community is not forgotten. I mean, yeah, you can see around the neighborhood that folks are now land grabbing, if you will. And they're doing it because they know that the community is on the uprise. But when folks were laboring, when you were laboring, when you was complaining about doing all of the folks in the lot over there at Springfield and Madison, and then before they even had a fence around the place, when we used to do the marches up and down the street and we used to do the events, it's just a pleasure to see that all of the work that we've done in the past is not in vain.
Oh, definitely it is not in vain. And we want to continue to work, and we want to continue to train the next 20-somethings and the next teenagers so that they can hold on and maintain this. Because a lot of work was put into West Garfield.
Absolutely.
And, we've had some challenges, but again, out of challenge comes a great opportunity.
And we never gave up. And, I even think back, remember back in the day when we used to have all of these events right there on the Pulaski Corridor or on Pulaski and Jackson.
Yes.
And now, if you go over there, you may see some remnants of some little things going on, but it's nothing like it used to be.
That is correct.
That just goes to show you what can happen when you just stay consistent. Would
Not
you
only
agree?
have to stay consistent, but we also have to listen to the needs of the community and the needs of the residents and understand that help is something that can be had if we work and be persistent at our efforts. We looked at Leglow Library, which is a gem of a facility in our community that had fallen on some tough times, and after $15 million worth of work, it looks beautiful.
Absolutely.
But again, we have to drive the bus to make those investments in the community. We also look at the old Delano School. It's hard for me to call it Melody.
It is, ain't
but
it?
It is
Yeah,
Delano.
yeah, it's
Nonetheless,
Delano.
you look at the work that's been done there. The kids didn't even have a playground they could play on, and now you look at that school and it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Now we have to, while we're working on our children, we got to work on these adults too, because everybody and their mother knows when you go to Jackson and Pulaski, you're only looking for one thing.
Absolutely.
And we want to make sure that we create an environment that we can help our brothers and sisters that need assistance with this challenge. A lot of us have lost or are losing individuals to this epidemic with these opioids. I'm not immune myself. I've lost family members to this. And so these are things that we are all dealing with, and we have to understand and recognize what the help that is needed and help to provide what's necessary for the community to be successful. So again, while we are facing some challenges, these become great opportunities for our residents, for our community, and West Garfield is on the upswing, and we're going to continue working to bring investment to the people and investment to the community, because we got to fix some of the challenges of our young men and women who are doing some things that we prefer them not to do. But we got to give them the resources to make better decisions and make them successful.
So if someone is watching today and they just have a passion for wanting to get involved in some of the activities that's going on in the 28th Ward, but particularly in West Garfield Park. First, I'm going to give you the number of fathers who care at 773-287-5821. If you got some young people that you want to get them involved in some activities with 2 different cohorts, 13 to 17, 18 to 24, youth drop-in activities, and then we got an internship program, we got impact identities, so these young people are actively involved. But if they wanted to get in touch with your office, how could they get in touch with your
My
office?
office telephone number is area code 773-533-0900. Office is located at 2622 West Jackson, which is right off of Jackson and Washtenaw at the JLM Center. We're on the second floor there. And again, 773-533-0900. Our email address is info, I-N-F-O, at aldermanervin.com. Ervin is ERVIN.com.
So if someone is watching and they just really wanted to know what are some of the activities that you feel are important to empower our young people, to save our young people and to empower our community, what are some activities you are aware of or you would like to propose or that you think we should put emphasis on?
Let me say this. The biggest mistake I think that we as older adults make is trying to fit in my case, 1980s, 1990s solution to a 2020 problem. The truth of the matter is that we need the young people to tell us what it is that they want. You know, I spent a little time over at Marshall High School asking young people, hey, what is it that we can do that you don't have today that you want to have to help think it's going to make you successful?
Right.
And so that is what we have to do. We have to engage with young people. We have to ask them what it is that they want because, hey, for me, it was baseball, basketball, and stuff like that. For these kids today, it may not be that. And it's wrong of me to impose what I think on them without having a conversation to ask them, what is it that you want?
Well,
and when you ask them that, hey, somebody tell me, hey, when we talked about Legler Library, we have a music studio in Legler Library based on the conversations we had with young people.
Got it.
We have a 3D printer in Legler Library based on the conversations that we had with young people. So again, it's about engaging with them and asking them, not telling them or not dictating to them, but trying to understand truly what's on their heart so that we can help them reach the same goals and achievements that we wanted to at their age as well.
Oh, absolutely. So now here's some things we got. We got these young people over at the agency that they meet and they have their youth council meetings, youth leadership meetings, and they have their group meetings and their Zoom meetings and their combined meetings and drop-in centers. So what we like to do one day, if it's possible, is to Zoom you in, or if time permits, you can drop by, but we'll work that out with you and your team. So the young people can not only hear what you just said, but you can get at least hear what they're saying.
No, I'm 100% in agreement with that because, again, I don't want to impose something that I think. I want you all to tell us what you want. And this on us as adults and leaders in government to try to meet those demands that our young people have.
Well, I've known you for some time, and I've known you to always have a listening ear for young people. I think I got it too. I mean, they really put a strain on a brother, but I'm hanging tough in there.
I understand that. I truly understand that.
But you know, you got to do what you love.
Yeah.
And I really love what I do. But what I want to do is I want to continue to work with them so we can save some lives.
Yes.
I mean, they're crying out. They're crying out for attention. They're crying out for another opportunity. And I'm just here to be a conduit to help those who are moving forward. So tell us what's new in the ward. Particularly in Garfield Park. What's coming?
So as I said earlier,
you were talking about the Hamlin
so we're talking about a
the
couple
health center
things earlier. We have actually 2 health centers that will be joining us. One at the corner of Jackson and Pulaski.
Okay.
So the old Mirador where the currency exchange was.
Right.
The lady at my church I went to, Ms. Bell, worked at the currency exchange for a number of years over there. And so the currency exchange, that building on that corner is going to be redone, working with Lawndale Christian Health to not only have a health center there, retail opportunities on the first floor, but health and wellness on the second and third floors of that building, redeveloping that particular site there. Across the street from there, we're going to work with a rehabilitation center. Like I said, we got folks that have challenges that in the West Garfield Park and Jackson and Pulaski is ground zero for a lot of negative behavior. And so we want to give them an opportunity to get to, as they say, recovery and get people to a state where they can, live a better life. But we got to have the resources in the neighborhood for them to, get off the drugs.
Absolutely.
Leave these drugs alone. These pills, this fentanyl, stuff is deadly.
Yeah, it's deadly.
And we're seeing that there were more, and people realize this, there were more people lost in Cook County the drug overdose than a homicide. But you don't see that. But the reality is that we're losing more people to the streets and dope than we are the people shooting and killing one another. So
Right.
that is of a grave concern, and that we have to address that. And this stuff isn't it's like they said, the weed, and I never smoke no weed now. They say the weed today is different than the weed that I shouldn't say you probably smoke, but the weed of your era.
Yeah,
And
back in the day, it wasn't that way.
Yeah,
You
so-
know,
so
they
this is-
literally, back in the day, the stuff that they did smoke, they literally had the stuff that was real mild kind of stuff.
Right. Well, that's
now,
not
the
today,
stuff
man.
today, but then, you know, I'm kind of torn with that because I understand now that they legalized it and things of that nature. So you got a whole new
Right, but only reason I
cadre of-
bring that up is
Yeah.
because what was happening then is exponentially greater in power in the drug that's being used than what's
Absolutely.
going on now.
Absolutely.
And it's leading to unsung number of deaths,
Mm-hmm.
primarily among black men between the ages of 45, 65, and 70. To
Okay.
imagine, and this is the reality, when I look at my family member, he fit the profile.
Mm-hmm.
When I looked at the stats, he actually fit the profile of someone who met that criteria. What I'm finding in our senior buildings, that we're finding men who are, later in life getting hooked on this stuff, and it's a problem. So we've got to help people
Absolutely.
find a way off of this stuff, and we got to have those resources right there in the community, because they can buy the stuff in the community, so they should be able to get well in the community.
So you heard it here first. So what we're recommending, if those of you are watching this evening, thank you so much for doing that, but we'd like for you to get in touch with us. We need your support. We're looking for volunteers. We need the young people. The alderman just said we can do these things and we can do it better if we're together. His office number is 773-533-0900. Father Sucare is fathersucare.org or 773-287-5821. Alderman, we want to thank you for your love for the seniors, for your love for the community, your love for our babies, and we want to encourage you to continue to do the good work that you're doing in the community and continue to be that vanguard, if you will, over those resources coming in the community, that we can make sure that those resources are properly implemented or properly appropriated. So we thank you so very much. You have any closing comments before we leave?
Again, just want to thank the residents of the ward for sending me down as their representative. I know we've got some challenges, but we're going to continue to work to bring the best resources back to the community. And again, as I stated earlier, we're going to focus on West Garfield, because if we get West Garfield on track, the whole West Side and this whole city of Chicago, West Side get right, Chicago going to be great.
And we know it is. We know it's going to work out, because all good things come to those that pray, that trust, and that put in the work. So thank you so much. Thank you for watching us. God bless you. Thank you, CAN TV, for all you do and for being a good steward of our time and making sure that we have this access. And we want to thank all of you for watching. If you need us, please get in touch with us. God bless you. We know the weather is funny out there these days, so be careful, because you can get that cold real quickly by being hot and cold, hot and cold.
And
Trust
make sure you go out and vote. We've got an election coming up March 19th. Make sure you go out and vote for the candidate of your choice. But let's make sure that we go out and vote so our voice can be heard.
Good night. God bless, and keep the faith, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.